Okay, welcome. Thank you for joining this One Spatial webinar. My name's David Eagle, and in this session we're going to find out a little bit about FME 2018, and in particular we're going to look at the 5 hot features that you might have missed in the new product. So thanks for joining us. This is one of our educational series of webinars that we run fairly regularly. If you go back to the page where you registered for this session at onespatial.com/events, then you can see some of the other sessions that we've got coming up in future months and register for those too. So first of all, just a very brief overview of who we are. We are One Spatial Group Limited. We're a spatial systems integration organisation. We've got our headquarters in the UK in Cambridge, and we have offices in lots of other countries, in Australia, in Belgium, France, in America. So a few different locations, lots of professional staff and consultants who work with lots of different vertical markets and industry sectors, including some of the ones that are listed on this slide here. So we've got a particular specialism around government agencies, both local and central, engineering firms and transport and infrastructure organisations, and then areas of land management and national mapping agencies are a big part of what we do. So just a few of the customers are listed down at the bottom corner, but importantly what we're going to focus on is one of our technology partners. You can see up in the top right hand corner we work with a number of different organisations, but we specialise in a small handful. We have dedicated teams that work on being specialists in these technology stacks. A couple of Canadian firms that we resell software for and provide dedicated services are Latitude Geographics with their GeoCortex product, and Safe Software and FME. And it's this technology set that I'm going to be spending the next little bit of time on looking at. So Safe Software are the company. We're a platinum partner of Safe Software, and the technology is called FME. So we have a dedicated FME division. We offer a number of capabilities from our team. We've been a value-added reseller for very nearly 20 years, and we're an authorized global Safe Software platinum partner. And that means that we do everything necessary to ensure that we are specialists in the technology that we're talking about here. So we cover all of the main products: FME Desktop, Server, and FME Cloud. And we like FME so much that we actually build the product into some of our own technical solutions and the software that we build as an organisation too. So we offer dedicated technical support, which means that we've got a support desk of skilled professionals backed up by some of our certified FME team who will deal with the tech support enquiries and help requests that you might send in as a result of being one of our FME customers on a maintenance and support contract. And we can provide all sorts of different services, whether it's facilitated product evaluation. Now that's a pretty fancy way of saying that we'll help you understand whether FME is the right thing for you. And we'll do that by helping you, by showing you some demos and, if necessary, building proof of concepts with your data to prove that FME is the right tool before you part with your budget. And we do all sorts of different consultancy projects for different customers, and we can provide training at your place or ours, whether it's one-to-one mentoring or classroom style training, entirely up to you. We've got a number of consultants who've got over 10 years experience with the product set, and that means that as a maintenance customer of ours, you're going to get a very good experience from the people with the right skill set. So let's focus our attention on today's agenda. FME 2018.0, the first release, is coming soon. We're expecting it to land in March. However, it has been available for some time as a beta. Safe make all their releases available very quickly. In fact, in not many months' time, there will be an FME 2019 beta, I have no doubt. How do you get there? Well, you go to safe.com/beta, and what you'll find on that site is just what you'd expect on from the normal downloads page. All the products, all the different builds, all the different operating systems are supported. Beta builds of that product, incremental releases, and we can see that this beta is available to download. So that's an important thing to bear in mind. What's also more important than that is that this is not production ready. Having said that, it's usually extremely solid, so you can do some serious testing with the product, but it's not the released version. It hasn't been approved for formal release, so it's an element of use at your own risk. But if you need to find out what's new in FME because you've got a project coming up that might need something that has been under development, then you can get at it, and with your normal license you can use the pre-release version. Now, Safe have introduced FME 2018 already at the start of the year. There were webinars in January that unveiled the tool. But there are a couple of webinars coming up next week, so that's February 21st and 22nd. Deep dive sessions to go right under the covers of the technical capabilities of both FME Desktop 2018 and the server product. So do go and have a look at safe.com/webinars, register for those sessions. They'll be worth your investment in time to find out some of the finer details. What we tend to do in our sessions is try to complement what Safe are doing rather than duplicate what they're talking about. So hopefully what we've selected here are things that are not majored on in some of Safe's other release information. They produce a headline features web page, which is really handy to go and have a look at. Includes some of the main highlights and capabilities, so you can go and have a look at that. So you can see here there's some reference to some of the different capabilities that are highlighted in the new release. So useful little page to go and take a look at. But those headlines, they don't always tell the whole story. So we've picked some hot features to take a look at, and we'll get into the detail now. So what is new in detail? How do you find out? Well, Safe publish a text file. It can be construed as a little bit of a dry read, perhaps, but if you're really interested in what's going on and what's going to appear in the new build, here it is, and you can go all the way back to the first beta build, and you can see in here that these are all the things that have been added. This includes bug fixes, but importantly it includes enhancements and additions and changes, new transformers, new readers, new writers, new ways of connecting to data sources that are out there. And this is the minute detail that you can go and dig into. And what I tend to do at this time of year is spend a bit of time looking through these documents, picking out things that I have been waiting for, or I think that are going to be important to our customer base, and then we let our customers know what things are coming up through either private emails or through webinars like this. The other thing that we do is when we know that there's something we're waiting for that is in development, we actually use FME Server to notify us of changes to particular capabilities. So FME Server is the enterprise version of FME. It allows you to set up scheduled processes in a scheduled dashboard and have them constantly listening and running based on changes in a data environment. In this case, Effectively, we have an FME workspace scheduled to run every day at about 10 o'clock in the morning, and it goes and checks all of the what's new files that Safe publish for particular keywords. In this case, it's checking for any reference to the map info extended format, and then it just strips out of that text file the relevant lines of information and pings them off in an email to members of our team. In this case, this was relevant to me because one of our customers needed to know about a particular change happening to this format. We're then, pretty much apart from the developer and the person who updates this file at Safe, we're then pretty much the first organization to know about the change as a result of setting up this schedule. And it's something that you can do too. It's not difficult to scrape information using FME from the internet and use the tools that are in FME, like the emailer tool, to send a message with just the information that you need. So what do I think is going to be hot in FME 2018? Well, there's a few things. Connecting all the things is a bit of a theme, really. One of the things that FME is, the mantra around FME is the fact that you can connect applications. Connecting, transforming your data, automating your workflows, the watchwords: connect, transform, and automate. So if we focus on connecting for a moment, really getting to disparate data sources, whether they're on the internet, whether they're in a cloud-based environment, whether they are on your file server or in a database, all of these different connection types really have never been easier. The last couple of years have seen some real advances in connection capabilities. Last year brought us some great little transformers that allow us to connect to different data environments. Those of you who are joining this session with a more early experience of FME, just for you guys, a transformer is a little unit of code, effectively, but it's actually a tool with a graphic user interface and a set of dialog boxes. You can click into it, fill in some settings, and then it goes and does a particular job. So a string concatenator transformer will take multiple elements of a bit of text and join them together, just like the concatenate function in Excel works. Here you can see that we've got some transformers that appeared last year. So we've got transformers like the Dropbox connector to connect to the cloud data environment and allow you to pull data down or load data to Dropbox to synchronize it across multiple machines. There's equivalent services from Microsoft OneDrive and Google Drive, and then in the spatial world, Autodesk A360 is sort of the Dropbox for AutoCAD files. Perhaps mashing those two brands together is I won't be thanked for, but effectively that's hopefully an analogy that highlights some of the things that you can do with that tool. And then products like Slack. Slack is a utility that allows you to communicate with your colleagues on particular posts, and it's a really good tool for limiting email volume and try and allow you to hopefully achieve inbox zero at some point in your life. And there is a transformer for that, so that's the Slack connector. But FME 2018 has really extended that connector family. We've got abilities to connect now to Hadoop. And there's an S3 connector, for example. Now that's a slight, I guess you could refer to it as a little bit of a cheat, but it's really a new iteration of what previously existed. Amazon AWS, Amazon Web Services, there is something called S3, Simple Service, and it's their data connector. FME has had an S3 deleter, uploader, downloader, object lister. Those tools existed. Safe introduced those tools one by one. It's a good way for them to be able to get capabilities to us, the user, quickly by giving us little pieces of the jigsaw. But now it's an obvious candidate to collapse down those utilities into one transformer with a parameter inside from which you can choose to delete or upload or download or whatever you want to do inside that transformer. Then we've got the Salesforce connector, allows you, it's brand new, to connect into Salesforce, which is an online CRM effectively. There has been a Salesforce reader and writer in FME for a little while, but now, rather than having to have that at the front or the end of your workflow, you can transact with Salesforce partway through your workflow, potentially joining some of your data to something that exists in one of the tables in the Salesforce environment, or vice versa. And then ProjectWise, I'll touch on that in a bit more detail. That's going to get quite a lot of people in the CAD arena very excited. This has been a long time coming, and more on that in a moment. And then we often get some more obscure things, and this is certainly something that I missed, and I suspect you might have done too. It's the Pinterest connector, or Pininterest, as a very good friend of mine refers to it as. The Pinterest is effectively a social media environment. It allows you to publish pins or boards to Pinterest. So if you really want to pin your favorite healthy recipes to Pinterest with FME, then you really could. I mean, in reality, probably what's more interesting to you is posting your favorite web API to Pinterest, so that you can take a look at that. But I mean, you know, some people are going to say, well, why would you do this? Well, why would you have, for example, the ability to work with Minecraft with FME? And you know, that's existed for a long time, but it's all about engagement. Pinterest is a social media platform. When you realize that there is an FME home use license, why wouldn't you have an FME workspace as a data professional at home? Why wouldn't you have an FME workspace to manage your Pinterest? You know, you could do it, and you can do it with a home use license. And you learn the capabilities of FME in your own environment, and then when you come to work and you use it at work, you're more skilled to use it, and maybe you would use the Twitter transformer to tweet about some open data that you've just published automatically as part of the workflow. There's all sorts of capabilities that this sort of more obscure transformer can bring into the game. So the ProjectWise connector, the reason why I put that here is it's been in high demand. It's one of these utilities that's been requested for a long time on the Knowledge Center. That you can see that Knowledge Center is a user community, and there's idea number 18,907, which suggests that perhaps the user community is pretty keen to be involved. 18 votes for the Bentley ProjectWise source or destination, so there's a couple of people commenting and building business cases for that requirement. One here is pretty much a duplicate, but effectively what you'll see in here is a much more popular 29 votes for pretty much the same thing. Roland Martin last year at the International User Conference did a really good session. Roland works for Arup, and he was talking about how they have built a series of custom transformers to interact with ProjectWise, moving data into this document management system for Bentley files, design files, and documentation. Effectively, lots of people really keen for ProjectWise to be supported in a more standard format. So there is ProjectWise connector. One thing to bear in mind is this is very, very early days. It's literally the first release of this transformer. It's been available in the beta, I think, for 2.5 days or thereabouts. How did I find out about it so quickly? Well, I had a workspace on FME Server telling me when it arrived, because we have a series of customers who are very interested in this transformer. So it's going to need a little bit of time to marinate with users for them to have a look at how it's going to be useful to them. But I expect some iterations of that tool soon. I know from the developers that building this integration has been a little bit of a challenging project, but they're getting there with this tool. So it's a real good highlight of FME 2018 to get this first iteration of the transformer. So then let's have a look at a little bit of an example. So I'm going to launch FME Workbench, and it's kind of a little bit of demo, around Salesforce. So in comes FME Workbench, and I'm going to just pull up a little pre-canned FME workspace that I built. It's not desperately elaborate. It just gives us a bit of detail about a particular query I'm going to post. This is the Salesforce connector. Salesforce has its own variation of SQL. It's the Salesforce Object Query Language, or SQL. Maybe I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but that's how I'm saying it for now. I've got a little creator transformer at the front. It's just triggering a request, and all I'm doing is connecting to my Salesforce environment. I've got a web connection here, so my credentials are held in a account that I can reuse in different places in my workflow. And then I've just got a simple SQL statement here. Select ID, name, email address from contact, so that's the table where the account ID is equal to that, and that's basically the one spatial account identifier. So what this is going to do is go and get all the members of staff stored against this account in our cloud-based environment. Then I've got a tester transformer in here. I'm just going to filter out a couple of members of the FME division, so myself and my colleague Mary O'Brien, and I'm going to filter and tidy up some attributes and push that out. So what's going to happen is when FME runs, it's going to connect to Salesforce, do a handshake with the web API, and pass in my credentials and get back the records from the table based on my query. You can see there's 185 of them, but it's filtered down to 2. And if I just drag in the inspector here, you can see that there is the 2 individuals that we've grabbed back. So just a little bit of an example to filter some content there and make a web request. How is this useful? Well, maybe you needed some information about some of your customers in your CRM, whether that's citizens, if you're a government organization, or if you're a private firm and you're using Salesforce, you want to join those records to some other data set that you store in an external database. This process will download that information and allow you to carry out a join. And I'll leave you on that note because I'm going to talk more about joining shortly. So, one of the other things that you may have seen from that workspace, and I'm just going to dive into there in a moment, is one of the subtle capabilities that has been added in FME 2018 is better table efficiencies. Frankly, I think this is going to be a bit of a game changer. It is minor, and it's the kind of thing that you stumble on as you're using FME, but the ability now to copy, paste, duplicate, move, insert, remove rows in tabular-based transformers is going to be a real big deal. We can even now copy and paste between transformers. So what do I mean by this? How is this useful? Let's just pull up that same workspace that we've got here. If I dive into the tester, you can see this is a transformer that has a table inside it. So I could just go to this capability here, and I could just duplicate this row. Now I wish that in a lot of cases it was easy to duplicate Mary quite so simply, but in this case I'm just going to go and have a look for, I don't know, one of my other colleagues in the FME division, Dale Parkinson. Okay, so I didn't need to do anything, I just need to duplicate it, and I could also here right click and I could copy and I could paste. And obviously, you know, if I was going to do this in reality, I would actually come up with there we go. I'd come up with a different test operator, so I'd probably use a regular expression or an in operator, and I'd bundle all these queries together. But I just want to show you this this extra capability. So if I run that now, then what should happen is when it does the handshake, it filters out 4 people instead out of all the members of staff. There we go. So I've got a 4 record. And everyone there, and I've highlighted a data quality issue because Haley's account details doesn't include an email address for us. So now you could go on and do some testing or filtering. Now, when it comes to passing content between transformers, if I decided partway through actually what I'd like is a test filter transformer instead, I could go over to here and I'll go and grab the record for Dale, come over to the test filter, and I can just paste it in and create an individual port for Dale. There we go. So I can create multiple ports in this transformer. It's going to make a big difference to the performance of these tabular transformers. So transformers like, for example, the attribute manager, where you're often working with multiple records and wanting to duplicate those. Item number 3 that we're going to look at here is the feature caching capability. Feature caching is not new. It used to be called Run with Full Inspection, but it has been renamed and improved. So feature caching is new in FME 2018, and it's frankly, I think it's a really marvelous addition to this capability. So let's rather than talking about it, let's just go and get on with it. So I'm going to open up a demonstration here, and I've got it set up here, and I'm going to give you another new thing in 2018. So this is I guess 3A. You can see collapsible bookmarks. So you can use those to tidy up your workflow quite nicely, and you can see that I've got a set of transformers that are tucked away inside that bookmark. And what I can do is run this workspace, and it just takes a bit of park boundary information and carries out a cleanup of the attributes, and in this case it filters out dog parks, and you can see that 80 go in and 73 come out, and 7 go along here. But if you wanted to actually inspect this data to see, I wonder what these 7 are, you can't do that at this stage. You would have to run it to completion and go and have a look in maybe the inspector application. But what you could do is you can turn on this capability called feature caching. As I say, this used to be referred to in a slightly different way, but it also didn't function quite like it does now. So I've turned it on, and if I run it, what we'll see is that we get feature caching, and you can see that we now have, if I hover over here, something that says the cache is up to date, and I could click on this little icon just here with the selection tool, and it'll allow me to go and inspect. I can right click as well. You can inspect features in the cache, and I can now inspect those 7 at that point, so I can see the 7 records that I wanted to look at. Or I could go and look at the 73, because they have also been cached to disk, and there they are. There's the 73. Toggle back, and we can see that we've just got those that we wanted to filter out. So super handy. It gives you that little cache to go and look at the data. As you know, building an FME workspace is an iterative process to allow you to add a new utility, see what you've done to it. Here you can inspect it using this extra capability. One of the things to bear in mind is that this user interface really allows you to see what's going on, and importantly when this tool is turned on. If I just go and do a bit of a hack to keep this workspace running a little bit longer, what you'll see is that this cache shows an animation to show that cache filling up, and you can see it says there cache is updating, and if you come away, the feature count updates as you can see the content building in there. So really neat little utility. Reason why this has changed so much, and you'll also see if I go up to the top of the log, there is now a statement that tells you that this is turned on, is that one of the misconceptions about this capability is that it should be used quite a lot. Really it's something that you use to debug or to test or have a look at your data processes. You don't use it in production. So you get this warning now, you get this cache animation, you get a status to be able to see this data caching, and that's because you want to know when it's turned on because it will slow your process down. You are caching a copy of the data at every stage in the workflow that you've defined. This user experience has been improved, and you are, as the FME user, being given much better user feedback now. And the naming really removes ambiguity, because the definition of cache is to store away in hiding or use it in the future. So we're effectively doing exactly that with our data, but we are storing it away on disk, on the machine, in temporary space. Only 2 days ago, there was a Knowledge Center article where a user basically came online and said, well, when I run the workspace on my machine, it's pretty slow. If I give it to my colleague, processing some images out of a GPS track point, his colleague can do 10 minutes, can do 5,000 pictures, but he can do only 100 in 10 minutes. And actually, the chap whose process was running slower had a slightly better machine in actual fact. It turned out, through looking at this, couple of my colleague and I and a few other people in the user community basically giving suggestions, and it turns out that absolutely the person using FME, relatively new to FME, and discovered that they had full inspection mode turned on by mistake. Well, it's much harder to do that now because of all the enhancements to this feature caching capability. Okay, so on to the last but fourth, the evolution of joining. So this is one of the hot features I wanted to bring out and describe to you in a bit more detail. There are a lot of ways of joining data in FME, and what you choose depends on how you want to achieve the join, or where your data is, or what kind of join you want to perform. There is a database joiner. You can see that effectively the icon there suggests that there is a way of connecting off to another source. You could, for example, read in an Excel spreadsheet, and in the database joiner, click into it and select a Postgres database to join to a table using a primary key, and then your Excel features would exit with information glued onto them from the Postgres database. There is a tool like the inline querier, which is a very powerful transformer that allows you to take file or folder-based data, like say a shapefile or a mapinfo tab file or a CSV, read it in, and the inline query allows you to cache it to an actual database in a temporary store. You don't have to create the database. It goes into a little SQL database stored on your machine temporarily, and then you are able to build SQL queries against file-based data that didn't previously support SQL queries. So super powerful, super capable little utility, giving you significant performance over and above some of the other joining transformers. You've got transformers like the SQL executor, where you can just build your own SQL against your database and get back the results of those queries. And the feature merger, really pretty much old faithful. It's been around for a long time. It's very simple to use. It allows you to join data from one location to another and see exactly what has, and importantly what has not, joined from both the primary and the secondary, the requester and the supplier. The requester being the data set, the record that wants to receive something. So for example, you might have a record that contains an ID and a name, and you want to go and get an email address and an office location, and the email address and the office location are stored in the supplier. So you're joining those that information on. Why am I talking about this? Well, it's because there's a new kid on the block. It's called the Feature Joiner. Feature Joiner is a bit special. It's got an added kick to it, a bit of a zing, bit of extra chili pepper in the Feature Joiner. It is indeed a hot feature. I think it's going to be a real game changer. It is pretty fast and pretty furious, frankly. So it's been built from the ground up. It supports feature table technology. If you don't know what that is, it doesn't really matter. It basically means that it goes quickly. So last year in FME 2017, we had a few formats re-engineered to support feature tables. It effectively means that the schema is only passed through the workspace once. It's not passed on every feature. So it means that the data workflows are much faster, markedly faster. So data can be consumed really quickly. What needs to happen in FME over time is that certain transformers where this is going to make a difference, and in particular joining is a big hitter, the feature joiner can now make use of this feature table technology. So let's again stop talking about it and show you what that means. So if I just close down what I was looking at before, and we're going to see what we've got here. So we've got something called joining, which I'm just going to drag in. Yeah, why not? Let's see. Yeah, go on. Let's do that. Let's do that. Okay. So this is the workflow, exactly what we were looking at before. And you can see here that effectively I've got some mobile phone data. This is signal information, signal strength information. If I go and open the containing folder and go and have a look in here, we can go and have a look at this data set. Drag that in for a moment. You can see that we've basically got some signal information. So if I can pop that open as a CSV or as Notepad, you can see if I drag that in, you can see that I've got some location information and an identifier, and in the other file I've got information about the cell signal itself. So what I want to do is join one to the other and collate that data. So last year the CSV reader, you can see it's CSV2, which means it's the new iteration that was brought in supporting feature tables, and it means that we can read data into the workflow in a large, effectively in a large lump. It just fires into the workflow super rapidly, and you can see there it goes, two big lumps of 158,000 records. But then as soon as it hits the feature merger, it's got to look and analyze the join relationship, and it slows it down a little bit. It's absolutely acceptable. It runs pretty quickly. You can see in 19.3 seconds we have joined all those records, 158,000 of them. And you can see that we now have our lat long and our ID, and now we need to know the information about the strength of the mobile phone signal at those locations. However, with the feature joiner, if we literally just bring that guy into the game and run it, we've got a process that runs in 19.3 seconds. As soon as we run exactly the same join relationship, bang, 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 the data lumps through 2.6 seconds, and there's the results. Exactly the same join has been completed. That workflow now shows us that we've got the feature merger and our view. Let's just roll that back up to the top so you don't see that changing. There you go. So you can toggle between the feature mergers results and the feature joiners results, and the net result is a darn sight quicker. So really, really capable transformer. It's going to be a big game changer. Really happy to see that transformer arrive, and that technology start to ripple its way through other parts of the tool. Okay, so while we're on the joining theme, we would like you to come and join us at our FME World Tour events in April. We run a number of events around the world, so we've got a number happening in Australia, and we've got a set happening in the UK. So 16th of April in Edinburgh, then we're heading south to Leeds, Cardiff and Southampton over a 2-week period. A little bit of a road trip for us, but for you, you'll be coming along to these sessions. We'd love to meet you, and what we'll be doing at this these sessions is a data joining workshop. So if you want to come and attend a training, effectively a training and knowledge session about joining your data, It's something we're asked about a lot in technical support. We'd love to share with you some capabilities about how best to do it from our certified professionals. You can register to attend our events at the FME World Tour page on our website. Come along and network with like-minded individuals, learn some new skills, and as I say, come and meet some of our certified professionals and talk about your data challenges and how you'd like to tackle them. And then we'll conclude with PDF reading. Now, unfortunately, this is one of the highlights of FME 2018. I say unfortunately. All I mean by that is that SAFE have already talked about it. But I feel that it's one of these capabilities that needs to be shouted about quite a lot, frankly. One of the things I regularly get asked for, and when I'm delivering training, my colleagues are bumping into people when they're delivering consultancy. A really common format we get asked to read is PDF. However, I always hear this statement: PDF is the format where data goes to die. It is a little bit of a dead end, a cul-de-sac, a locked away location. Once data ends up in a PDF, it's quite awkward to get it out again. It has been sort of achievable to do it in FME. There's been a few ways you could have a go at it. One way that we've done it for one of our customers recently was to basically take PDF and convert it to TIFF. You can do that with Adobe. Once you've got it into TIFF, you can use FME to read TIFF. And if you go on to the FME Hub, which is a bit like the App Store for FME, go to hub.safe.com. You'll see over there's a custom transformer called the Tesseract Caller. Download that guy, then go to GitHub, download the Tesseract OCR tool, install it on your machine, point the Tesseract Caller at that installation. I think you get the idea. It's more trouble than it's than perhaps it needs to be, but that was doable. It allowed the OCR tool, optical character recognition tool, to go and extract text from images, but you sort of end up with a little bit of a headache after you've managed to get all of that done. It's achievable, it works, does the job, but perhaps it's more long-winded than it needs to be. So FME 2018 to the rescue. Thank you very much. Let's go and launch FME Workbench, and I'm just going to go in and add a new reader. So readers, add reader, and you can see in here that we've got the ability to read a PDF. So let's go and find the right place to read it from, and we'll just go and have a look in there. We've got a floor plan effectively. Diagram, and we can go and click in and have a look in the parameters, and we can go and see what options we've got to have a look at. There we go. So if there's protection on the PDF, you can pass in your password. You read in images or not. You can have a look at different blocks of text. Read in vector data. We're going to do that. If it's geospatial, sometimes it is. It's got a reference. You can pull that in if it's possible. As I say, PDFs are created in very different ways, so your PDF may be very different to mine, and my colleagues might be completely different again. Let's go and have a look at the metadata objects that are in there. We can go and get document info, pages, map frames, all sorts of content. We'll have the non-spatial text, we'll read the tag tables, we'll read the rasterized pages as well, all sorts of content we can get. So let's just go all out to pull in everything we can from this PDF. And we get a feature type on the canvas for each of these. Let's go and have a look at what they are, so we can resize this a little bit, and zoom in so you can see that, and connect inspectors, and then just run this and have a look at what we end up with in the data inspector. So whole barrel load of data flying out of this PDF, and you can see that we've got some metadata about the file, we've got some data, we've got a rasterized view of the content, but we've also got some vector content in here as well. So this is just a floor plan, as I say, as a stairwell I can see here. So you can see that we can start to actually get vector features directly out of a PDF, which has been more than difficult to do in the past. So that's a really hot feature as far as we're concerned, and one that we think you should maybe take a look at. So that's it. That's our 5 hot features. We're really happy that you joined us, and thank you very much for coming along. As I say, go back to our events page, onespatial.com/events. Go and have a look at the other webinars that are coming up. If you go to onespatial.com/FME, we've got lots more information about the services and the other tools that we have available, and a little bit more detail about FME over on our site. But do go to the Knowledge Centre, knowledge.safe.com. Go on, post an idea about something that you would like added to FME. Go and ask questions, join the chat forum, the chat community. Go and look at the thousands of articles on there. Do come along to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/onespatialgroup, where we've got lots of our historic webinars available for you to go and have a look at. And SAFE also have hours and hours worth of sessions to review. We're on Twitter, as is everybody these days, so go to @OneSpatial and @SAFE Software to interact with us. And if you want to ask us any questions about anything you've heard about today, or anything that's unrelated to this session, feel free, fme@onespatial.com. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for posting your messages in the chat window while we've been on. If we haven't replied to you right now, we will do immediately after the session. But thanks for joining us, and we'll hopefully see you again sometime soon. Thanks a lot.